The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Roth, and you are listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We're a weekly show found right here on Money Radio, 1510 AM, 99.3 FM, and found on the World Wide Web at www.moneyradio1510.com. And we are now into our 18th month of reporting to our community and our listening audience about Health Futures, and the name is unique in the sense that we are on a station that's a financial network station, Health Futures, talking about how to take stock in your own life. And really, it's about how our aging adult population can live a healthier, happier life. And we've probably broadcasted 70-plus shows, and this show is a little bit special and a little bit different, and each one is unique in its own way. And I am happy to share with our listening audience. I've got riding shotgun with me as a co-host, Paul Fredericks, our Vice President of Client Services at Cypress HomeCare Solutions. Good afternoon, Paul.
Good afternoon, Bob. It's our weekly checkup for the community when we talk about healthcare futures. Every time there's something new, something different, something to learn. And so the guests that you bring in are just fantastic.
You know, for our listening audience, last week we had Dr. Jim Deering talking about ACOs and the future of medicine and where we're going. And the week before, we had a client of ours, Dr. Avery Weissman, who's going to be 102 years old. And if you missed that show, you can find it on our website at cypresshomecare.com. Up on the top right or the middle way down the website, you'll see a radio button. You click on that, and you can listen to the podcast. And it's interesting, we bring up Dr. Weissman because he is a thanologist. And that was a big word. Paul, what does thanology mean?
Person that studies the whole concept of death and dying.
And the other thing that was very unique is that he shared with us that Cicely Saunders came over from Great Britain to visit him back, I think he said it was 1971, and had dinner with him. And he was asked if he would be interested in helping her create something that was created in Great Britain. It was called hospice here in America.
Right. Perfect segue to where we're going.
Absolutely. And he pointed her down to Yale University to talk to Florence Wald.
Right.
And they created that in 1972.
And Medicare was developed, or Medicare adopted hospice in 1983 with President Reagan in Congress, which became a full benefit from Medicare to help the readmission rates at that time, which were happening in our healthcare system.
And, you know, it's interesting. We've talked about hospice. And, Paul, you've been with us now for 4 or 5 months.
Right.
I've known you for close to 10 years. And,
correct.
And you've worked in the hospice field. And one of the challenges that we have is that there's a lot of misinformation out there about hospice. And one of the things that we're challenged with is that we know enough about it that we recommend our clients and their families to maybe consider it, and oftentimes they resist.
Correct.
And when they finally do accept it, what do they say?
We should have done this a whole lot long ago, right? Before, 6 months beforehand.
They should have done it, because not only do they have nurses, they have a whole, they've got a whole team there to assist them in that whole process.
Yeah, I refer to like a bicycle wheel. The hub is the family and the patient, and all the spokes are support people that hospice provides that actually support, protect, and provide for that family, for that patient. And it's a perfect image that I use all the time for what hospice is.
Well, I'll tell you what, we have a guest on today that is one that is well known in our community right here in Phoenix and in the metropolitan area. And her name is Susan Levine. and Susan is with Hospice of the Valley, and she's the executive director there. And before we get started with Susan, I want to read for our listening audience Susan's background. And I know she's somewhat modest, so I'm going to read it so she doesn't have to. But, Hospice of the Valley has been around since, Susan, when did it get started?
In the mid-'70s.
In the mid-'70s, and it was started by Dr. Albert Eckstein, right?
He was the founding medical director.
He was the founding.
It was founded by 3 other volunteers and then a whole group of volunteers around them.
Wow. And Susan came to Hospice of the Valley in 1994 as the executive director. And it's interesting, 1994 is when Cypress HomeCare Solutions got started. And as a matter of fact, she's 1 month older than Cypress HomeCare Solutions is. But over that period, to give you an idea how Hospice of the Valley has grown, back then in 1994, they were serving about 130 patients a day with a $5 million annual budget. And today they're serving nearly 17,000 patients a year with a $162 million annual budget. Susan is a passionate advocate for community-based end-of-life care. She serves as the chair of Hospice Association of America and is a member of the National Association of Home Care and Hospice Board, which I'm a member of their board for their affiliate, the Private Duty Home Care Association, for 9 years. So I've known Susan and been active in that association. That trade association, just so our listening audience knows, it has 36,000 agencies as members: hospice, home health, and home care. They're the advocates on the Hill in Washington, really advocating for end-of-life care and home health care and home care in general. She also serves on the Healthcare Policy Advisory Council of Harvard Medical School. She has a bachelor's degree in educational psychology. She started her career focusing on elementary school teaching and retail management for Saks Fifth Avenue. At midlife, she obtained a nursing degree, worked as a hospice staff nurse, then managed a home health care company, which I did not know. And the company now is called Gentiva, but it had a lot of iterations prior to that. It was Kimberly Olsen. It had a number of number of different names, but it is now called Gentiva. She's also among Arizona's 48 most intriguing women, a diverse group selected for the Arizona Centennial Legacy Project by the Arizona Historical Society and the Arizona Community Foundation. Her awards include ASU Center for Nonprofit Leadership, Executive Director of the Year, the National Association of Home Care and Hospice Lifetime Achievement Award, ASU College of Nursing Distinguished Persons Award, and the Anti-Defamation League Leader of Distinction Award. Welcome to the show.
Wow.
We used up so much time. We have to take a break here pretty quick.
I know we are actually our producer Ashley just signaled me that
You're killing me, Bob.
We're going down, but I wanted to set the tone for our
impressed.
listening audience so that they would really know who we have in the studio today. So Susan, thank you for joining us today.
It is my pleasure. I can't wait.
Well, you know what? Hospice is something that we're going to talk about for the next 3 segments.
Right.
But we're so privileged to have you here, and it's, as Paul said, it's a benefit that Medicare recipients have had since 1983, and it's a benefit that most everybody is entitled to that is out there, and I'm really excited about talking to you about that as we get on with the show. So with that, Paul, we're going to wind down.
Absolutely.
You know, I will mention it's May 1st.
It's May Day.
It's May Day, and it's over 100 degrees already.
There we go.
Oi.
Can you believe that? Oi is right.
Yeah. Oi.
It's hot in the studio, Ashley. Get the air going. But
I'm
seriously,
sweating in here.
we're here talking about hospice. You're listening to Health Futures. We are about to take a station break. We will be right back.
Hi, Joe Capitano here, Senior Vice President with Homeowners Financial Group. And I'm a human being, not a machine. Do you get embarrassed easily? I mean, if you were the only one who forgot to bring the gift to the holiday party, would that embarrass you? Well, what if you couldn't afford your dream home, your first home, your last home? What if your loan was denied? Now that would be embarrassing. Well, I don't want you to be embarrassed. That's why I listen to you, and I use my many years of experience to help you realize your dreams, help you find the loan and the financing you need. See, a machine, a computer, a website doesn't care if you're embarrassed. It takes a human being like me. Call me, Joe Capitano, 480-305-8545, 480-305-8545, or just go to joeloans.com. Bank number 090-6222, MLS number 9826, Equal Housing Lender. That's 480-305-8545, or joeloans.com.
Attention boomers and retirees. Do you own a high-risk, high-fee variable annuity or an obsolete hybrid income annuity? What you don't know may potentially jeopardize your future or current retirement plans. Call Anil Vazirani and Secured Financial Solutions at 800-957-5604 extension 200 to set up your complimentary strategy session to learn about a possible superior solution. Learn about the concept of the principal protected low-cost new generation annuity and why it's superior in most cases than the high-risk, high-fee variable annuity and the obsolete hybrid income annuity. Call 800-957-5604 extension 200 to set up a strategy session or go online at www.theripa.com. 800-957-5604 extension 200. Call today. Annuities are not suitable for all investors. Benefits based on claims paying ability and Comdex rating score. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, an SEC registered investment advisor.
Kubota, driven by perfectionists. Get some perfection in your world with compact tractors, zero-turn mowers, and diesel utility vehicles from Kubota. Find your local Kubota dealer at Kubota.com.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you, and we're going to just jump right in, Paul. We've got Susan Levine from Hospice of the Valley. She's the executive director, and we are talking hospice. And one of the things that we talked about on the opening segment is the thing we always hear on the home care side is their resistance to starting hospice care. And once they start, they say, wow, we should have listened. We should have started sooner.
Exactly. And, oftentimes when you're in the medical field, as I was part of Hospice of the Valley and with great honors, I loved doing it. And one of the things we kept hearing from medical professionals was they would tell the families, and the families would tell us, well, the doctors say there's nothing more we can do. But, Susan, that's not true at all, is it? It's not giving up, is it? Hospice is not that at all.
Absolutely not. It's really the contrary. It's doing something about the fact that you really do have a terminal illness, and rather than pretend you don't and have your family pretend you don't and live the last chapter, let's say it's 2 weeks, let's say it's 6 months, but to live with the elephant in the room, to live with a knowledge that you know something is inevitable, even though you're seeking treatment perhaps a little bit at first, but then you know it, is very isolating. So the person with the illness feels lonely. The kids or spouse feels lonely because they aren't talking about it. And it really, I think, sets the tone for a sadder and more complicated, less resolution and life-ending review. I think it sets the case for sad and not good death.
It's interesting you meant good. We had Dr. Avery Weissman on, and he talked about the difference between a good death and not so good a death. And really, hospice does give you that opportunity to have a good death.
I wonder if he talked about the aftermath of a bad death. Did he talk to that at all?
You know what? He didn't go into the details, but if you'd like to share with us, that would be fantastic.
What we see and what I've really observed over many years, the attended, loved, accepted death leaves, of course, grief, of course, longing for the loved one, but it doesn't leave all the conflicted, guilty, should we have done this, should we have done that? Mom didn't seem like she was ever out of pain. Well, Mom might have just been in terrible angst because Mom was having to face it alone because nobody had talked to her about it. And the complicated grief that follows that is different from the plain, just all out, healthy grieving and crying and talking that one does when you've talked about death before.
How does Hospice of the Valley transition that conversation from aggressive care, going to the doctors, treatments, to aggressively, as you put it, promoting and supporting the quality of life while they consider and join hospice or enroll in hospice? How does Hospice of the Valley promote that?
Well, I'm going to talk about the palliative care program. Is that what you were referring
Perfect.
to? Because there is a need to help people think it through. And the busy doctor or the busy hospital person, as they're facing this, doesn't always have the time, or maybe doesn't have the skill. If you have a young practitioner who's never talked to somebody about death and dying, they just might not be ready to do that. And you can't do it in 5 minutes at the bedside. You can't do it in a 10-minute office visit. It takes some lead-in, and it takes some familiarity with the person. You got to ask all the right questions first. So the niche group that we started identifying 18 years ago was the person who does have a terminal illness who really doesn't want to talk about it. And that's the pre-hospice patient, which is now called the palliative care patient. So you get in touch with that person in that phase and treat them with whatever they want. It might be loving kindness, it might be conversation, it might be helping advise them about what do I ask my doctor. And we have a whole program for that. Palliative care helps you face the end of your life without saying I'm on hospice. And then invariably, when people are on palliative care, they start accepting the idea of hospice.
Can you give our listening audience what does palliative care means?
The word palliative, as you know, means relief. It means symptom relief. It means comfort.
Okay.
Palliation. To palliate is to comfort and relieve symptoms. So palliative care is nothing more than we all want to do for each other, which is give comfort and care and symptom relief. And, symptoms are not always just pain or shortness of breath. It's the pain of knowing or not knowing what to do about your illness. And so the talking and the right questions to ask, which hospice folks are good at, is extremely helpful to families.
And part of that comfort is finding out what that person has either liked to do in their lifetime or potentially a goal or two that they want to reach between now and the time that they do pass. How do the nurses, the social workers, chaplains, how do they help that patient reach that goal and identify it?
Well, the philosophy we use, which Paul knows full well because he was right in it with us, is whatever that patient wants, wherever that patient is, that's where we are. And the nurses go in, and all of the staff goes in. I see it as a safety net with their arms out, their hands and palms facing upward. What can we do to help? We are a support network. If that patient wants to take a trip, one more trip to Disneyland, we have done that. And we do have lots of children on service, I'm sorry to say. We have taken patients to their daughter's wedding by hook or by crook. We get them there, even though they may be 2 weeks away from death. But we do whatever it takes to get people home. We had a woman from Dubai this year who had come here for special treatment and was declining rapidly and wasn't going to make it at all if we didn't get her on an airplane. We got her on an airplane and sent her off to Dubai, and she died a few days later.
Now, you're able to do this because, first of all, Hospice of the Valley is a not-for-profit.
Correct.
And you also have a rather substantial endowment. And I think, if my memory serves me correct, I think you spend somewhere between $10 and $12 million a year
on unreimbursed care.
On unreimbursed care.
Exactly.
And is that part and parcel of what you're able to fulfill some of these people's wishes with?
Yes.
Oh, that's
We have
unbelievable.
generous donors. Yeah, it really is. It is a privilege to be sitting in that position, to not have to say, oh, gosh, there's no way we can get you back to Dubai. And that was a big undertaking. The donors who give us money, often they want that money for special things for patients. We have several different kinds of funds with our donor dollars, and Helping Hands is one of them. And we always come up with a way to do what the patient needs. Excuse me.
No problem. I'll just tell a quick story that I was a part of when I was at one of the PCUs, one of our patient care units. Is a gentleman had brain cancer, and his daughter was going to get married, but the wedding date was way out in advance, and the family came to the realization that date was not going to be there for that gentleman, the father. And so what they did is they brought in the daughter and the future husband, and we had the wedding ceremony right inside the patient unit. We wheeled in the patient, and we had the ceremony right there. It was the Thunderbird unit over on Thunderbird and 59th Avenue.
Wow.
It was just after it opened. It's a beautiful place, and we had the wedding ceremony there. The staff jumped in, provided the reception. It was a beautiful thing that we did for this gentleman to be able to see his daughter, and he was able to give her away right there.
I bet we've done 10 weddings in the history, maybe more I don't even know about. We've done, I'm losing my voice, Bob. We've done a 75th anniversary party for a couple who were on service together.
Wow.
Imagine having people.
They were on together.
They were on together. They were both failing fast, and they weren't going to be separated. We put beds in the same room, of course, because they were in an inpatient unit at the very end. And we did a little party for the 75th anniversary. I think one of them died shortly thereafter and one shortly thereafter.
Wow.
And you find that happen a lot, don't you? You know, and when I say that is, you know, in the business that we're in caring for aging adults, I find that once we lose one, the other one usually shortly goes after and dies of a broken heart.
A broken heart.
A broken heart.
Or the will to live, which is extremely important.
Which leads to the bereavement program, the bereavement service that Hospice of the Valley provides, so that you follow the patient, the family, after the patient passes away, in order to make sure that everyone's grieving appropriately. And if there's more needs, you guys are right there to jump in. Is that correct, the bereavement?
The bereavement department actually starts in advance, especially with children who are dying and the families of those children, or the family, the young 30-year-old mother who's leaving a 5-year-old. We step in earlier for anticipatory grief, but we follow families for 13 months or 25 months in the case of a child loss.
You're listening to Susan Levine. We are on Money Radio. This is Health Talk. It's Taking Stock in You. Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. And we're coming up on a hard break, Bob.
It's hard to believe we're down 2 segments, Susan, and you know we got a lot more to cover. And you were thinking this was going to be hard. It's not going to be hard. And I love the storytelling, Paul. So please share other stories, and you do the same, Susan. We're going to take a break right now. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We will be right back.
As we reach the bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
Charges against 6 Baltimore police officers in the death of Freddie Gray. Baltimore's top prosecutor, Marilyn Mosby.
The findings of our comprehensive, thorough, and independent investigation, coupled with the medical examiner's determination that Mr. Gray's death was a homicide, which we received today, has led us to believe that we have probable cause to file criminal charges.
A nighttime curfew remains in effect in Baltimore with protests planned for this weekend. With the spring and summer driving season underway, car sales are on the rise. General Motors, Ford, Chrysler, Nissan, and Toyota have all posted U.S. sales gains for April, driven by demand for small and mid-size SUVs. Bruce Jenner has been hit with a wrongful death lawsuit by the family of a woman killed in a Malibu car crash earlier this year. The lawsuit claims Jenner was careless and negligent when he slammed into the victim's car, with the impact sending it into oncoming traffic. On Wall Street, the Dow gaining 149 points, the NASDAQ up 52. I'm Ann Cates.
What can being listed on YP.com do for your business? You're about to find out for free. YP will give your business a free listing on 2 extremely powerful customer delivering tools, YP.com and the YP app. Growing your business requires maximum visibility, and every month, over 70 million potential new customers search for businesses on YP.com and the YP app. 70 million. But if you're not there, they can't find you. Get the maximum visibility that comes from a free listing with America's largest marketing agency for small business, YP. Look, you're the expert in your business, and YP is the expert in driving new customers to your business. Imagine what that free listing on YP could do for your bottom line. Claim your free business listing today. Potential customers are searching for businesses like yours each and every day. Don't let your competitors get them because you're not listed. Go to myfreeyp.com. That's myfreeyp.com. myfreeyp.com.
As the days go by, things in the Valley will heat up, but the advice from Money Radio never cools down. Your daily source of great financial advice.
Okay, so you're thinking of buying or selling a home, but you don't know who to trust. Hey, gang, Mike Metz here. Sure, everyone knows a realtor, and if you don't, well, I'm sure you're like me. You got bombarded with junk mail, calendars, and magnets telling you who to use. Well, why not call me, Mike Metz, with Guaranteed Rate? I work with some of the best realtors around the Valley, and I know who the good ones are, and I know who to steer you clear from. The realtor you choose is just as important as the home you buy. Not all realtors are equal. I work with some of the best realtors in the Valley, and I'm certain I can recommend a good one for you. So give me a call, 480-585-1616. That's 480-585-1616, or go to MikeLoans.com. That's MikeLoans.com, because that's what I do, Mike Loans.
NMLS 167063. Guaranteed rate NMLS 2611. Equal housing lender.
Are you ready to start receiving Social Security? Do you have a plan on how you're going to withdraw it? Call Certified Financial Planner Nancy Fleming of Fleming Financial Services to learn more about the role Social Security plays in your overall retirement plan. Will Social Security be the foundation for you? Is it a nice addition to what you already planned out? Is it going to be better for you to wait to start receiving your Social Security benefit, or should you start sooner? These are very important questions you need to ask yourself before you retire. Call Nancy Fleming today to schedule your free Social Security analysis. 480-632-8770. Nancy Fleming is driven by one focused goal: to help clients grow, protect, and transfer all they've worked so hard to achieve. 480-632-8770. That's 480-632-8770, or visit FlemingFinancialServices.com. Fleming Financial Services is a licensed investment advisor. By contacting them, you may be provided with information regarding the purchase of investment or insurance products. Kubota, driven by perfectionists. Get some perfection in your world with compact tractors, zero-turn mowers, and diesel utility vehicles from Kubota. Find your local Kubota dealer at Kubota.com.
I'm Bruce Vail with Your Money Now. We keep getting mixed reports on the economy. Today, the Commerce Department said construction spending was down 0.6% in March, a bit more than economists had expected. A 1% increase in spending on commercial projects was offset by a 1.6% drop in spending on residential projects. Shares of DreamWorks Animation are down more than 5%. Late Thursday, the movie studio reported a wider-than-expected quarterly loss as it took a more than $57 million impairment charge related to the release of Mr. Peabody and Sherman. Oil prices fell following reports of a monthly rise in exports from Iraq, but prices logged a seventh straight weekly gain. Crude futures fell 48 cents to $59.15 a barrel, but oil was up 3.5% for the week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 170 points. The Nasdaq Composite ahead 57. The S&P 500 is up 20. That's Your Money Now.
By 2025, it's estimated that half the world's population will lack access to safe drinking water. A sorry state of affairs, as 2/3 of our planet is covered by water. We are helping develop solutions for salt water to satisfy the thirst of future generations. BASF. We create chemistry.
You're faking it. You go around pretending everything's okay. You're irritable, you lose sleep, and your mind is racing with fearful thoughts. You want it to stop. You just don't know what to do. I'm Lucinda Bassett, founder of the Midwest Center for Stress and Anxiety. I can show you how to make it stop without abusing alcohol or taking medication. I did it, and so have hundreds of thousands of people just like you. Please, call now.
Call now and we'll send you this wonderful free CD. 1-800-749-3104. 1-800-749-3104. 1-800-749-3104.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you, and we're down 2 segments, Paul. It's hard to believe. We got 2 more to go, and you know what? I'm just going to go right back into it because we've got Susan Levine in the studio from Hospice of the Valley. She's the executive director, been there for 21 years. She's been at this 1 month longer than Cypress HomeCare has been in existence. And they have had just such an impact in our community. And during the station break, we had Doreen come in, and she's the news anchor, and she shared a story with Susan about her own family and her experience with hospice. And it gives me chills because I hear this story all the time about Hospice of the Valley and the great work that they do. And I'm sure, Susan, that was just so pleasing for you to hear and just reaffirming.
I love the reassurance that we are doing every single thing we can and that families are having gentle memories. And what Doreen just described was gentle memories, that having that care, she felt like her mom was loved out of this lifetime, and described how the nurse came after mom died even and came back and sat with her and the family and attended to them in every way they could until the mortuary came. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Absolutely. And, you know, Doreen shared that story, and I know there are hundreds and thousands of other people that have that story that don't get the opportunity to share that with you. And you were just sharing with us during the break as well that because of your stature, if you would, in our community, and as the leader of Hospice of the Valley, you do get stopped in grocery stores and other places, and
all the time.
And people share similar stories.
And I didn't say stature. I said because I'm old. Because I've been around a long time, and people recognize me, so they do come up. And the stories, as you noted, Doreen's story was from 2009, and she said it's as fresh as though it were yesterday. People will tell me about a 10-year ago, a 12-year ago experience, and they even come back. We do a memorial service every year at Indian School Park at what's it called?
Indian Steel Park.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
And
Central and Indian School.
There it is. And people come back year after year to commemorate the death of their loved one and show the picture of their loved one.
Can you describe that event? Because it's an annual event. And
have you ever been there?
I've heard about it. I have not.
It's absolutely beautiful. Honest to God. The Indian School Park has included in it much beautiful land, but an amphitheater, a natural outdoor amphitheater. So people can sit on a hillside and look at whatever they're looking at. What the background is a beautiful fountain in the air. So then you have the outdoor air, the beautiful fountain, a beautiful group of people, and then 2 huge outdoor movie screens. So what you do then during the evening, first we have a few pieces of music and so forth and some comments, but then the whole thing is about the families we've taken care of that year or last year or whatever year, and there's a photo of them. They've sent them in, and the photos go back to World War II. They go back to before World War II, and then wonderful music accompanies it. Were you ever there, Paul?
No. Actually, all the years I worked, I never made it down there.
Because it's on a Sunday night, and if you're working and you have young kids, you might not go unless you've lost a loved one.
Right.
People come and bring their kids. They bring a picnic blanket and stay for an hour. It's just absolutely a wonderful experience. And there's something about the comfort of community grief, that people understand. You're in, I think the last one had 1,400 people, and so they know that all those people around them understand what they're feeling.
In fact, we know families that have come for years, like you said earlier, but they tailgate with one another prior to the event. So they open up their tailgates, they have a picnic,
a barbecue.
And the only reason why they know each other is because they met at this Festival of Lights, of Life. And now they come back annually, and they're forming communities now because their loved ones were served by Hospice of the Valley.
What time of year is that done?
It's the Sunday after Thanksgiving. Because, you know, if you've lost a loved one recently, the holidays are tough.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a pre-holiday. It's leading into the holidays, that just noting the importance of it.
And how many years have you guys been doing that?
Oh, probably 18, 20.
It's a wonderful thing that you guys are doing for the community and people that you've had the privilege of serving. And speaking of people that you've had the privilege of serving, you know, it is amazing to me, and I've been at this for 12 years, and my company's been doing it for 21 years, that when we do talk about hospice, people think that hospice is in a facility. Now, you know, Paul used the word PCU, patient care units, and Hospice of the Valley has some incredible patient care units, and two are remarkable right here in Scottsdale, and one's the Sherman House, which is right by Mayo Hospital, and the other one's the Eckstein unit, not too far from Scottsdale, actually Honor Health, Shea.
Right, I'm trying to get with that new name. It's tough.
But Susan, share with us, because, you know, hospice isn't in a facility.
It's not a place. Hospice is a concept, and as you referred to early on in our discussion, it was founded in England and was a very well-accepted concept in England by one little lady, a nurse person called Cecily Saunders, who later became an MD because she wanted to make a difference with the person who was in the ICU or on an acute care floor who was clearly dying. And that really is that isolating thing. Nobody's talking about it. So the nurses often in those days would avoid that patient because there wasn't much you could do. And the patient died in the hospital, and the family were intimidated. They had visiting hours in those days. So it was I would call it an unnatural death.
Right.
You know, that's not the way it's supposed to be, because 80 years before that, everybody died on the sofa at home or went to sleep and didn't wake up because we didn't keep people alive quite so long. So that was founded in England, and then it was always meant to be a home care deal where, you know, everybody wants to be at home as they're ill. If you have a bad flu, where do you want to be?
Right.
Home.
So if you were dying, where might you want to be?
Exactly.
Home.
So it's the denial obstacle that gets in the way that still in today's world, sometimes people end up dying in the ICU. And except for major trauma or, you know, an unexpected heart attack or something like that, those all belong in the ICU, but not the expected death.
So if you look at Hospice of the Valley patients that you serve, 17,000 annually, how many of those are at home? 90%?
96%.
96% are receiving hospice care from Hospice of the Valley right there in their home.
In their home.
And what's interesting for us at Cypress HomeCare Solutions and a lot of employer-based home care companies like us, we're there side by side with hospice, assisting that family and that patient in that end of life.
I sometimes say it takes a village to help somebody, and whether it's a tiny village or a bigger village, it really, that team thing is helpful.
And it's really important to note that, you know, Cypress Home Care Solutions and other home care companies, oftentimes we come in to assist the patient.
We call you.
But I will tell you, oftentimes we're assisting the family. We're keeping the household going. We're cleaning the dishes. We're taking out the laundry or doing the laundry. We're keeping the household going, making sure the meals are being done, and so the family, the loved ones, can visit with that patient that is actively dying. We're up on another hard break.
Absolutely.
You want to take us out?
Sure. If you go to www.hov.org, you can hear all the things you can about Hospice of the Valley. Or check us out at cypresshomecare.com.
We'll be right back.
Market Wrap listeners, join host Mo Ansari for his free financial seminar on Wednesday, May 6th in Scottsdale. He'll review the markets, provide analysis of the economy and the Federal Reserve, and discuss technical analysis. Plus, he'll make time to answer questions about your favorite stock, mutual fund, or any investment questions you have. The best part, it's free. You can also make an appointment to meet with him one-on-one and get your free portfolio review. Call 800-388-9700. That's 800-388-9700 and join Market Wrap host Mo Ansari on Wednesday, May 6th in Scottsdale for the free seminar or your free one-on-one portfolio review. Space is limited, so call now. 800-388-9700. That's 800-388-9700 or register online at compact.com. That's COMPAK.com.
You know, they say money doesn't grow on trees, but remember, trees produce timber, and timberland as an investment has risen faster and with less volatility than the Standard & Poor's 500 index. In fact, since 1987 alone, in spite of minor losses in 2010 due to the U.S. housing slump, the NCREIF's Timberland Index has risen 15% per year compared to 9.61% for the S&P. During the Great Depression, in fact, stocks plunged 70%, yet timber gained 233%. And even in 2008, when the S&P lost 38%, the Timberland Index gained 9.5%. Nothing, of course, is guaranteed, but trees do grow every year by 4 to 8%, and they are unaffected by wars, politics, interest rates, and market crashes. Want more information on how to acquire timberland? Call my friend Alex Wilson at Maderas Futura at 855-888-6288, or go online at PreciousTimber.com. That's PreciousTimber.com.
Kubota, driven by perfectionists. Get some perfection in your world with compact tractors, zero-turn mowers, and diesel utility vehicles from Kubota. Find your local Kubota dealer at Kubota.com.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Roth, and I got Paul Fredericks as the co-host today, and you're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you, and we've got Susan Levine from Hospice of the Valley here in our studio, and we're talking hospice today. And if you missed the first 3 segments, you can catch them up on CypressHomeCare.com. Click on it, and you can listen to the first 3 segments and this 4th segment. You can listen to about 70 others. You know, Susan, real quickly, I wanted just to share with you, there was something that I was really moved by that Hospice of the Valley did. And we created one in our operation, and that is therapy dogs.
It's wonderful.
I met Sundance. Sundance was the first.
Oh, he's retired.
He's retired. But 4 years ago, we started a therapy dog program for our clients.
Good.
And we have a female Labrador Retriever. Her name is Lacey. And Lacey makes visits. And interesting enough, Lacey was a hero segment for Channel 12 NBC that Lynn Sukuni does.
How wonderful.
And Lynn Sukuni, for those that don't know, she is the anchor on Channel 12 News and has been there for a lot of years.
31
years. And I will tell you, she's been doing these hero segments for probably about 10 plus years. And it started with our veterans, you know, the people that serve. And then she's migrated to people in the community. And just on a lark, we sent her what we were doing with Lacey, and she did the profile. It was really cool.
That is adorable.
Because it aired probably 12 times in 3 weeks, and Lacey, you know, did wonderful. She was with one of our clients.
She didn't misdo anything, did she?
No, she didn't. But you know, she's wonderful, and I got to tell you, to see what she does for our clients is absolutely amazing. Because our clients, your patients in hospice, they can't care for dogs anymore, so they don't have them, but they have such rich memories of having dogs. And Lacey's been called other names. You know, Fido, Rover, or whatever the other dog's name. Doesn't matter, but, you know, she loves getting, you know, her ears stroked and, her head scratched and, you know, scratched behind the ears. And it's amazing the joy it brings. And especially for our dementia and Alzheimer's clients, because they live in the shell and they just light up when they see the dog.
They light up with those pets, and we have all kinds of pets. We have 187 therapy dogs and their humans that they bring along with them, those teams.
Wow.
187, I think I got the right number. And then we do other things that make people light up. You know, one of the things that Paul knows is chocolate. When a dementia person might be really getting agitated, just say open wide and pop a chocolate in their mouth, because the senses are all still there.
Right.
And then music. Music is absolutely one of the finest therapies.
You have a harp. Do they call them harpist?
Harpist, yes.
Harpist, and I've seen your harpist perform at Sherman House and other venues. And
we've had her at our holiday party.
That's right, we had her at our holiday party. Mm-hmm.
But the other thing, which of course is more current, is what do you call them? iPods, something.
Yeah, iPads.
Providing that for patients and programming it with music of their era. And if you want to see somebody who's 98, you know, who's been sitting there hanging their head in a wheelchair, and then put those little earbuds in, and then their eyes open, they look around, their feet start moving, and they have the biggest smiles on their face. So that just makes our day.
There was a movie that was done on it, and
Alive Inside.
Alive Inside, and Hospice of the Valley had an event, if you would.
Correct.
And it was at the Camel View, and I went, and you guys had a full house there, and it was amazing to watch.
We're doing that whole thing with our patients. What the physician, I forget his name, was working so hard.
Dan Cohen.
That's it.
Dan Cohen.
Got a better memory, but
yes.
Then, of course, there are a couple of years between us. And he was struggling, at least initially, to get everybody to be receptive to that. Well, we have adopted it fully and do it all over the valley. It's wonderful.
And the connection it does for not just the aging population, but the ones that are afflicted with Alzheimer's and dementia, and they live in these silent worlds, and then all of a sudden you I remember that African American guy having the music on, and he was in that catatonic state that you were describing. He came alive, and even after the music, when they took the buds out of his ears, for a couple minutes there, he still was engaging. And he was communicating, which he wasn't doing without the music. It's really special.
It's a beautiful thing to watch.
All right, so I brought up Lynn Sue Cooney.
Yes.
It's a great segue. Let's talk about Lynn Sue Cooney.
We are so excited. We feel like we won the lottery because Lynn Sue Cooney is willing and eager, she says, to come to work for us. She wanted to do something, she stated that, different with the next chapter of her life. And wanted to serve, and this woman impresses me to no end because
she's beautiful.
First of all, she's beautiful. She is extremely smart, and I think her master's is from Northwestern. I mean, a very educated and sophisticated lady, as everybody knows, I'm sure. But the wonderful quality with all of that talent, she wants to serve people. And she glowed when she talked about it. And that's always the clue for me to, I'd love to have this person work for us. And it worked out that she will work for us. And she's going to head up actually several departments that are the ones who really interact with the community. Because we do a lot of internal stuff. You know, we have our clinical, our wonderful clinical service. And then we have our whole external community interfacing. And she's going to do all. Are we lucky or what?
You are lucky, and you shared a story with me a month ago, and that is, I guess she was coming up on the end of her contract, and she had made this career decision, and they took that as a negotiating ploy, and I think you were sharing with me they were upping up her contract. They were saying,
I'm sure they were.
They wanted her to stay.
I'm sure they did.
Of course.
Yeah.
Come on, Cooney and Curtis.
I know. I know. I had a moment of feeling bad for the fan base and for Mark, but then I got over it.
A moment. Notice that was a moment.
Well, I know I've known Mark for 20 years, and he's a great guy, and I will tell you. So now it's no longer Cooney and Curtis; it's Cooney and Levine. No, but very exciting.
Yeah.
Very,
Yeah.
and what a great face to have for
I know.
your hospice here in the Valley.
So we are lucky.
And that's going to take HOV into the future, and it's a perfect segue into what you see with the future of healthcare, hospice, doctors, hospitals, the whole, as someone described it to me, it's like trying to change a flat tire at 70 miles an hour kind of a thing. And if it's confusing to us in the healthcare world, it's really confusing to the average Joe sitting at home trying to understand how their Medicare benefits, how their insurance benefits work. What do you see happening in the future?
I hear so many comments about, it's going to be so different, and the old world of healthcare and the old hospice is long gone, and get with it, and it's all going to be different. And so then I say, when you have an illness and you sit across from a doctor or a nurse and talk about your own self and your needs, and the doctor or nurse talks back to you, that's been happening since the beginning of time, whoever the healer was, right? So just focus on that. That's what we do. Yes, the infrastructure is going to change. The Affordable Care Act has imposed a great many afflictions on not just us, but the hospital system and all the systems. I am an eternal optimist. We are going to keep on giving perfect hospice care. And I know the hospital administrators, I know most of them, they're going to keep on giving beautiful care. It's just going to look a little different on the surface. And then it'll change again. So.
But I will tell you, I think one of the things that we're going to see is we're going to see more care being delivered at home.
Absolutely.
Because home is the least costly proposition for health plans, for our state government, and for our federal government.
And the best place for families.
Exactly. And that is a great segue into really talking about home care and the services that we provide. The nice thing about Cypress HomeCare Solutions and other employer-based home care agencies is that we partner with companies like Hospice of the Valley. We partner with other home health care companies. We work with doctors and nurses and enabling people who choose to stay at home can stay at home. It's hard to believe it, Susan. We're done.
Oh, thank goodness.
But I will.
This is not what I do with my day usually. I was a little nervous.
Well, we're very privileged to have you.
Absolutely.
So thank you for being on.
Loved it.
You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. Make it a great day and have a great weekend.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress Home Care Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
Right after business for breakfast, right after the news on Money Radio, tune in Mastering Money with wealth manager Steve Jurich and the doctors Sinclair Know. Learn about cutting-edge retirement investment strategies, Social Security optimizing, and RMD strategies. Guests on Mastering Money have included Steve Forbes, Larry Kudlow, and the one and only John Bogle, the founder of Vanguard. Join the A-Team, Steve and Sinclair, mornings Monday through Friday at 8. And now, download the Mastering Money app for your Apple, Android, and Windows devices.
Money Radio 1510
and 99.3 FM.
Is KFNN Mesa Phoenix and K257CD Phoenix proud to